Welcome back, everybody. So we're going to go back to 1969 with this one. This is Can't Find My Way Home by Blind Faith. Blind Faith, they of Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, Steve Winwood, and Rick Gretsch. Two members of Cream in that one. Amazing acoustic guitar interplay between Eric Clapton and Steve Winwood. So I'm going to break all that down, the rhythm and the lead and the little sort of intricate parts that happen between the two. So if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell. The bell lets you know when I drop new content. I do it every single week. All my videos have chapters in them, so you can go right to the part of the lesson that you want to see and bypass what you don't. And if you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I appreciate that. There's thanks, just like throwing a tip in the tip jar. Or even better, you can join my Patreon page where I've got chord charts and tabs for all of the lessons I do on YouTube, just like this one. Links in the description, so check it out. All right, Can't Find My Way Home. So beautiful little piece, right? So just think about this, like Cream, Eric Clapton and Ginger Baker's band with Jack Bruce was like the epitome of like loud stacks and stacks of Marshall amps, and Eric on all his Gibsons and being as loud as possible. And what's the first thing that he does after he gets out of Cream? They do this nice, dainty little nylon string acoustic guitar number that we're going to go on today. Just complete opposite sonically, and it's fantastic. The interplay that happens between Steve Winwood and Eric on this is just to die for, and I'm going to do my best to break down all the little magical parts that happen between them both. Okay, so first thing, I'm playing a nylon string classical guitar, because that's what they did. And for tuning, this is going to be a drop D tune. So you drop the low string down to a low D, keep everything else the same. Okay, so I'm going to start by talking about what I'll call the rhythm, the main rhythm guitar, which I think was what Stevie Winwood played. And I'm going to break down the chords, the chord shapes for you first, and then we'll talk about the picking and the little intricacies that happen across the different parts of the song. So let's just talk about chords first, right? So the chords, the chord shapes is going to move like this on the main sort of verse formation. That's the first one. We're just walking down chromatically the A string to a D, okay? Right? A lot of open strings. And then the next chord is an F to a G. Now we've tuned our D string down, so now the low string, or the low note for the F is on the 3rd fret now. So you have to grab that there. That's the shape that happens a lot of the time. I'll talk about all the differences. And then G. And you can also do both fingers on 6 and 5. On both of those, right? I think I just do the one, but I've seen Stevie Winwood. I've seen Stevie finger it that way. Back to a D. D major, okay? It's got sort of a minor feel throughout all of that. And then lands on a major D, right? So we'll talk about the picking in a minute. The next sort of chords that we'll learn is during the chorus. The chord is sort of a G chord, but we're gonna play this chord down to an A sus, to an A or A7 sus, to an A7, D, and then an E minor 7. Okay, we'll talk about that part, but I just wanted to outline those chord shapes. As we move through, all right? All right. Okay, so let's talk about the finger picking that's going on. So kind of a Travis picking thing. Best as I can tell, he's spending most of his time between the 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. There's variations that he does throughout, but that's where he's doing most of his picking, and he's pedaling, or he's holding on to this D note a lot. Right? So my thumb is doing sort of a back and forth between the 5th and the 4th string. Right? And I pick that D note at the same time to launch the first note. Boom. So that's the pattern. Could be a little bit different, but that's right. That's the feel that you want. And with these nylon strings, it's a much different experience than with the steel string acoustic. I'm digging it. And we're gonna switch to our F, right? Now we're switching our bass note up. And the other fingers, I think, are staying the same. I hear that note a lot when he's coming up to the G, just the open B. So it's not so much that, it's so that's the rough sort of main structure. We're gonna evolve throughout, but that's the main sort of riff here. Right? So that's the main sort of structure. Now there's all these little embellishments that he does, and I find that they tend to happen when he goes to the F. When he goes to the F chord, there's always a little something that he's throwing in there, and it creates these little magic parts with the little leads that Eric is playing, and we'll break down all of Eric's parts too. And so what I'm going to talk about here is there's 3 sort of guitar solo sections. There's the intro, there's what I'm calling the 2nd solo, and what I'm calling the 3rd solo. Okay, the intro, it goes around. Twice, 2 times, and the other solos just go around once, one set of bars, right? So the things that are different on each one, there's a little sort of flair that Stevie does on each single one. So on the intro one, here's the flair that shows up on the sort of on the intro solo, right? So it starts out just with our C. And then when we go to our F, he's going to do this. You hear that? Which I always thought was part of Eric's lead, but breaking it down, listening closely on the headphones, they're sort of panned left and right. I really think this is the rhythm guitar doing this, because I can hear Eric playing something else when that happens. So Winwood is sort of breaking with the pattern a little bit, and he uses that F chord to do these little interesting sort of interludes. So this is the first one that he does. So he does this move. And he sort of just finishes it off back to that sort of D. Sometimes he might be catching that, but Eric's doing that too. There's parts where you can't sort of separate them very easily at all. So running through that first one again. So he does that very strong. And what I like to do is slide it up with my ring finger, because you can sort of hear these other notes that the finger picking sort of picks up. sort of doesn't matter what you do when you close it off, anything, anywhere in that. All right, so that's that one. And the second time around, he has this little pickup that launches it, and he does something a little different on the F this time. That little at the very end there. So yeah, that time on the F. Right. You hear it on its own and it's sort of like, eh. But when you hear that with what Eric's playing, you know, because he's another guitar sort of dueling with it, it just, these little moments of magic is what happens every time he's doing this little flare on the F. All right, so the lead guitar. So the lead guitar is not playing Travis picking. He's going to be playing, well, he's finger picking, but it's not a Travis picking pattern. But what Steve Winwood is playing with his Travis-based thing creates a great bed for Eric to solo over. And yeah, so let's just go through his parts. Got a part two. Whoops. He changes the rhythm on that. Love that. Love that. So cool. And yes, that's the precursor to Layla, right? Right. So just beautiful, right? He's starting with announcing in a D chord. That's all outlined around a D major. And that's the part when it hits the B flat. There's that pickup again. I love that. He does something interesting there. It's like something like that. How he pulls off that dark note is great. All right, that's the first part. Second part, again, hammering onto that D shape. So you knit all those together, and here's what it sounds like. All right, on the second one, Steve Winwood has pretty much straightforward Travis picking on the way down, and he has a little embellishment that he does when he's climbing up from the F and the G. So it goes something like this. Very cool. So on that F, just hits it for a second, and he does that roll, that 3-2-0 on the D string. Sort of similar to what he did on that first section, but he gets that on there. And the little bit of magic that happens is when he's picking those two notes, Eric's got something going on his lead that perfectly seems to harmonize with that at the same time, which we'll see in just a minute. But yeah, so his little climb there. And then Eric's lead here is super beautiful. either of those places, but just beautifully. He comes in a little early, right? The pickup before was same notes, just playing them differently. Staying on the string. The next chord is that B flat. So he grabs that part of the B flat. Moving up to this part of the scale. And he sort of changes the timing there, right? Everything is da-da-dum, 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 da-da-dum. And then he changes the timing. One more time. And I love how he never hits that D note on that little blues lick. Because you sort of expect that skip. Love that. And here's how that all sounds together. And on the third one, same thing. Stevie's playing something sort of standard Travis on the way down, and he plays a little flare when he gets to the F chord. Right? That little piece there. All right, so Eric comes in and he's just outlining a D chord here. And he hits that C note at the same time when Steve hits his first chord. Right? So just climbing that D chord. That hammer off and slide down. Right, then your end on the D. These parts all sound great, but they need to be played in context with one another. So here's how they sound together. Okay, so let's talk about the chorus chords, right? When it transitions to that first chord is this. And it's hard to tell well, I'm just going to show you the sort of basic chords and what the main sort of notes are that are happening. Both of them are playing. There's a little noodling going on, but really it's this chord. Sometimes you have that note. Sometimes you have it open. A, sus, A7 sus. E minor 7. And you got to put your low index finger on the second fret, remember, because we've tuned that string down, so that's your E now. Can't find my way home. That's how I like to play it. I've seen Steve Winwood play so maybe I should go with that. But on the record, I feel like I keep hearing that note though. So that's what I usually do. To that chorus again. All right, well, that was Can't Find My Way Home by Blind Faith, the great guitar interplay with Steve Winwood and Eric Clapton on that. I'm sure they didn't sit down and like minutely think out all those parts. You can just tell that was two people playing in the same room at the same time, jamming off of each other. I don't know how many takes they did to get that take or whatever, but you can just tell they were just being musicians and sort of playing off each other. I gotta believe that. It just totally sounds like that, right? So yeah, so I hope you learned something new today. So if this is the kind of thing you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, and ring the bell. The bell will let you know when I drop new content. I do that every week. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this, and if there's another song you want me to take on and do a lesson similar, let me know what that is too. But until next week, take care, everybody.